Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This will be my Spider-Man freshman year video. We got a bunch more footage to break down, a bunch more Easter eggs. We know more about the characters. There's also a bunch of other Spider-Man announcements that have happened recently, too. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. We even just found out that Tom Holland is officially coming back as Spider-Man in Spider-Man 4. I've already done a video about that, so I'll link it in the description below. We're also going to be getting What If Season 2 episodes at the beginning of next year, too, so I'll address that during the video as well. There's a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. Because we've gotten a whole bunch of new footage and a bunch of details about Avengers 5 Kang Dynasty, Avengers 6 Secret Wars, even Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, I know there's a lot of questions about the multiverse and them bringing all this stuff together. Because they are already crossing over Tom Holland's live-action MCU Spider-Man with Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. And we did just see Haley Atwell in live action as Captain Carter like we saw during What If. But the whole idea with Spider-Man freshman year is that they're doing an animated series in the style of Steve Ditko's art. Like the animation, all the characters of the universe is meant to look like Steve Ditko's comic books in the OG Spider-Man comics. Picture it as being kind of like Spectacular Spider-Man episodes mixed with the 90s Spider-Man the Animated Series episodes. And it's going to start with him being in freshman year with him getting the spider bite, and we'll follow him through his origin story because they kind of skipped over that during Captain America Civil War. But here's the thing, because of some of the footage they released, some of the scenes, like Norman Osborn is a big character during it, Oscorp exists, Harry Osborn exists during it, he has a relationship with him, and there are a bunch of characters, and the backstory for the character is very different, so it sounds like the show is going to be set in a different universe, and it won't be 616 MCU Spider-Man. Like, it'll be very similar, but there'll be a couple minor differences. For example, like the look of the characters looks very different, looks much more comic book accurate, but much less like MCU versions of the characters. For instance, Doctor Strange looks very different, and in the MCU, when Daredevil is supposed to get his back in black suit, like the black Daredevil suit during the new Daredevil episodes, it'll look a little bit different from this black suit. And yes, you heard that right, Charlie Cox is going to come back as Daredevil during the series. It'll be our genuine Daredevil Spider-Man crossover in a way that you didn't see during Spider-Man No Way Home. Like, that was a Spider-Man Daredevil crossover, but it was more like a Matt Murdock Spider-Man crossover, or Matt Murdock and Peter Parker crossover. This time, it'll be genuine Daredevil doing Daredevil things, being a vigilante, with Spider-Man being in his full Spider-Man costume, although obviously a slightly different version of the Spider-Man costume. Charlie Cox said that this is actually one of the reasons why he came back, so they could do crazy crossovers like this. This is like the beginning of Charlie Cox coming back as Daredevil in a much bigger way. Like, we saw some Easter eggs because of the Kingpin character during Hawkeye. He just came back again during the She-Hulk episodes. We saw him in the Daredevil yellow costume, which was the original costume from the comics, which is why it's yellow. They even made fun of it during the series for being mustard and ketchup colored. He'll come back next during the Echo series and get another different costume, maybe a version of the red costume or the Daredevil Back in Black costume, and then during the Daredevil Born Again series, which they start filming really soon. There'll be 18 episodes of that, and during that he'll get another new costume, either the Back in Black costume or the Daredevil Red costume, whichever one he didn't wear during Echo. But that's just the beginning. I know you all have questions about Norman Osborn and Green Goblin because one of the villains will be Norman Osborn, who, based on the footage in this universe, seems like he's running a version of Oscorp and has a pre-existing relationship with Peter through Harry Osborn, like they did in the comics. I believe he and Harry are school friends like they were in the comics, and then he becomes sort of a surrogate father to Peter, and it's sort of like a comic book backstory. He cares about Peter and his son, but he's got all this shady Oscorp stuff going on the side. Peter starts to think of him as a father figure. You see him at his house here. This version of Aunt May seems a little bit different from Marissa Tomei. But the funny thing here is this looks exactly like the Captain America Civil War scene, just with slightly different versions of the characters. Like it's Norman Osborn coming here instead of a version of Iron Man. Then eventually he gets the spider bite. We'll see that happen, get a version of that origin story. He'll make his first homemade suit, and then as he's having his first adventures, trying to learn to save people, use his abilities, Norman Osborn will learn about Spider-Man and try to sort of hijack him, like work with him slowly, and then eventually try to twist him to the dark side like he does in the comics and in the movies as well. Join me or die, eventually. They also said one of the suits that he's going to wear during the series will be the Osborn-created Spider-Man suit. Like, Norman Osborn will create a new suit for this version of Spider-Man. I don't know how close it's going to be to the comic book version, but like this is a comic book version of Peter Parker wearing a Norman Osborn-created Spider-Man suit. You can see all the Goblin tech sort of baked into it. They didn't say during the series whether or not Norman Osborn has already become Green Goblin, but I think that we'd probably also see a version of that happen during the series. And they also did confirm that they've renewed it for Season 2, and Season 2 is called Spider-Man's sophomore year. He was a sophomore during the events of Captain America Civil War, but I'm assuming that they would deal with more Green Goblin stuff during Season 2. Like, that would be a big Season 1 cliffhanger. Then separately, another group of villains seems like they have a version of the Sinister Six that just have not become the Sinister Six yet, but they all seem like very core Sinister Six characters slowly coming together over the course of the episodes. There's a very comic book accurate looking Doctor Octopus, there's a Scorpion who looks kind of tech-based, there's a comic book accurate Chameleon, the huge dude is actually supposed to be a version of Rhino when he's not in the costume. This really jacked looking woman with the mohawk is a version of Unicorn from the comics. This female villain with the black hair, the red streak in the blades might be a version of Tarantula, because they said Tarantula would be one of the villains, and we don't really know who the third version of the character is supposed to be, but they got tied up with Nico Minoru, and Nico is a character during the series, so this could just be a version of Tarantula. This scientist in the lab coat is a version of Bentley Whitman, who winds up becoming the wizard character in the comics. The fire-based character here is actually Butane, the one with the suit, the fire cannons on his fist. You'd actually see Spider-Man fighting against him in a scene here in a house. The dude with the mechanical legs and the sunglasses is supposed to be a version of Speed Demon. Some of his allies that they showed off in the series will be Charlie Cox's Daredevil, like I said, slightly different back in black suit, and he'll be the Matt Murdock lawyer by day as well. There'll be Doctor Strange, who obviously looks a little bit more comic book accurate to the original Steve Ditko Doctor Strange. Nico Minoru from Runaways, like I said. There's even a scene of Spider-Man and Doctor Strange both trying to save her from some dark being or a shadow demon from another dimension, because she comes from a family of dark wizards, so that's the magic-based connection to Doctor Strange. We also just saw a whole lot of Spider-Man and Doctor Strange together during Spider-Man No Way Home. We'll see if they break this universe during this series too. Also, like I mentioned, they have a version of Harry Osborn. He isn't pictured in this lineup here, but he looked like the Steve Ditko Harry Osborn that you remember from the comics. On the far left, I believe is meant to be Pearl Panigan, who becomes the Wave character in the comics. In the series, she's going to start out being Peter's crush at school, and she's the captain of the women's swim team, because the Wave character, you get the water metaphor. The guy in the lab coat is actually meant to be Amadeus Cho, of all people, so we'll probably see some more Hulk Easter eggs through his character, and maybe some sort of connection to the Bruce Banner Hulk. We just got the She-Hulk episodes. We didn't see a version of Amadeus Cho during that, but we did see some Easter eggs for Red Hulk. Like, they did genuinely have a Red Hulk shout-out in episode 8. And because of some of the Easter eggs in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, I just did a first look video for Captain America 4 New World Order for the Thunderbolt Ross version of Red Hulk and what their plans are for Val and the Thunderbolts. But they are doing a version of Red Hulk. That's why they recast Harrison Ford as Thunderbolt Ross inside the MCU. Nico is standing next to him, like I mentioned. On the far right, we actually found out that this young girl is Asha. She's just meant to be a genius from Wakanda who's attending their school at Midtown High. She's sort of like a young version of Shuri in the series. They didn't say who the adult woman in green next to her is supposed to be, but the green is just giving me Green Goblin vibes, so it could be a version of Harry Osborn's mother. And I think the woman in yellow on the other side of them might be a version of Jean Foucault, Finesse from the comics. The big football player is actually meant to be a young version of Lonnie Lincoln, who eventually becomes Tombstone, but in this version I believe he's going to start out being Peter's friend from school, but there might be a twist during the series where he turns evil. The slight variation that they made to his first homemade Spider-Man suit is just to have him wearing a hockey-looking jersey with a custom Spider-Man symbol on the chest in blue. The colors are just like a little bit different. They're tuned up just a little bit more. And like his pants are just a little bit different. They did confirm there'd be like 7 different Spider-Man suits on the show, including the first homemade suit in the classic Steve Ditko suit you see in the middle of the lineup here, but it's the red-blue suit. All 5 of these suits include versions of the Spider-Man Slingers team suit. That's the big Easter egg here for those of you that didn't read the Slingers storyline. That involved another team of people that Spider-Man basically gave his suits to. But from left to right, it's Hornet, the black one is Dusk, the classic blue and red Steve Ditko suit, like I said, that was his second suit. Technically, the very first Spider-Man suit was meant to be red and black, which I talked about during my Spider-Man Far From Home videos because that inspired the version that he got during that movie. The white suit on the right of that is either a future Foundation suit, which kind of blows my mind because that also means that the Fantastic Four were in this universe, and this last one on the right is Prodigy. It is meant to be a Kevin Feige-led Marvel Studios production, but I think it's going to be treated in the way that they treat What If, like it is canon to the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse, but it's taking place in an alternate universe. Because like, for instance, during Spider-Man No Way Home, when we have the Tobey Maguire Green Goblin come in, and he goes looking to try and find a version of Oscorp or find a version of Harry Osborn, he says that there is no Oscorp that exists in the 616 MCU, and he implies that this universe's version of Harry Osborn has already died. The big news with the series this past week is a lot of people wondered if it's potentially canceled because there's a lot of talk about Marvel animators being fired. The series hasn't been canceled, they're still planning on releasing it fall 2024, and they do have X-Men the Animated Series. They're doing a new season for that. It's basically season 5 of the show, as if the show never went off the air. Like a bit of a time jump, that's why they're calling it X-Men 97, because 97 was the year that it stopped airing episodes originally. I will be doing full videos of that when it airs, because obviously we're going to get a bunch of X-Men movies inside the MCU in live action once they start introducing more of those core X-Men characters, which is basically happening in the next couple of years. Best example of that is Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool bringing Hugh Jackman Wolverine into the MCU. The series that might actually wind up getting canceled, though, are the ones in early development and just the things that they're thinking about doing. Like there are a couple unannounced projects that Marvel's doing as animated series that they might wind up canceling in the future. The next big thing is going to be the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. It's meant to be a prequel to Guardians of the Galaxy 3, but after the events of Thor Love and Thunder. I'm allowed to post my review video early next week, so look out for that, and then I'll do like a full breakdown Easter eggs video and talk about how it connects with Guardians of the Galaxy 3 when it actually airs. I just did a bunch of Black Panther Wakanda Forever videos for the post-credit scene, full Easter eggs breakdown. I'll put links for that in the description below. Everyone click here for my brand new Deadpool 3 video, and click here for my Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special trailer video and Easter eggs. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.